Guys, I want to thank you for stopping by the channel today and hitting that play button. I always appreciate you guys stopping in. And, you know, last week I did a video and I got a lot of good feedback from you guys about doing interviews with car owners. Some of you liked it, some of you didn't. And that's to be understandable. You know, everybody's got different tastes. You know, that definitely isn't something that, like I said in that video, something that I'm real big on doing. But I do think it's something pretty cool to do every now and then. But when I do them in the future, however occasional they are, I'm definitely going to do them with Corvette owners and Jeep owners now that, you know, of course, we have a Jeep in the family. Guys, this week I want to talk about the 2018 Corvette. You know, we had the big Corvette bash that happened at the museum this past weekend, and that's the time of year that GM rolls out, you know, any changes that may be done in the cars for the for the next year model. And a couple of things that I always like looking forward to during that presentation is kind of, you know, I'm kind of a numbers guy, so I would probably say what I enjoy looking at the most are how many cars were sold. You know, what was the most popular color? And, you know, for this year, for the 2017 year model year through April 4th, GM said that they had sold 29,000, or they had made, I guess they haven't sold them, some of them are still on car lots, but they had produced 29,749 Corvettes. And out of that, 41%, or 12,121, were Stingrays. But at a very close second, and you know, quite surprising, was the Grand Sport, coming in at 38% of the you know, of the share that were built, or 11,215. And then of course the Z06, there were 22% of the cars were made were Z06s, and that was 6,413. So really cool to kind of see how the breakdowns of the cars, how they're actually built and how many they're sold. One thing I thought was really interesting is that 80% of Stingrays and 80% of the GSs, or the Grand Sports, 80% of them had automatic transmissions. And when it came to the Z06, 71% had the 8-speed automatic. So there's definitely a shift towards the automatics. I don't know if that's just because guys get to the age where, you know, they really don't care to shift anymore. You know, other people say, you know, you don't have a real sports car unless you're shifting. I actually like the car probably either way. And another thing that I thought was interesting is the most popular color for the 2018 year was Arctic White, with a very close second was Watkins Glen Gray. And then out of the new colors, the color that performed the best was the Admiral Blue, beautiful car. The Admiral Blue is beautiful, and the Watkins Glen, well, that's just a mouthful for me. Gray is just a beautiful car, especially with the black rims. I've seen some with silver. A couple of weeks ago in one of my videos, you guys saw one of those that I kind of featured at the beginning of a video. But you know, that's kind of how 2018 or 2017 kind of got kicked off. And what GM also said is that for the 2018 models, what's new is not a whole lot when you get to the Z06. Matter of fact, the only thing new on the Z06 is they're offering 2 more different wheel designs. And when you go to this was really a big year for upgrades on the Stingray. So if you've been thinking about buying a Stingray in the future, probably, well, the majority of the upgrades were done on that car. The first one that they did was they got rid of the 18 and 19 inch wheels, and they're doing 19 and 20 inch wheels. So basically the same as the Z51 package had been in the past, but also what's on the Z06s and the Grand Sports now. You know, a lot of people wanted the wider tires. You know, maybe some of the more seasoned gentlemen out there who like that pace car look or something like that. That's where the 18s and 19s came into play. But I think that for the most part, most people like the wider tires. But in doing that, I'll kind of get back into the differences here in a moment. But the difference in price on all three models, that GM did increase the price by a whopping $50. So $50 is what the each one of them will cost. You know, if you're thinking about getting a Stingray, the base rate on those is $55,415. If you're thinking about getting a Grand Sport, the base price is $65,495. And if you're thinking about buying a Z06, that comes in at a mere $79,495. Now, if you want to get a convertible, you'll add $4,000 to that. That does not include the world famous $995 destination fee, which you will be charged as well. So, but that's kind of what's different. That's kind of, you know, what the costs are on the newer cars. Now, as far as some of the different things that they're doing to the Grand Sport, what I think is cool, and I think that a lot of people will take advantage of, but starting in 2018, you're going to be able to order the Grand Sport with the carbon ceramics without having to order, you know, the whole Z07 package. So if you don't want to get the, basically the Cup 2 tires, which no one likes. You know, I haven't met anybody who likes them yet. You know, most guys just can't wait till they're gone, or, you know, take them off and put on some of the super sports. But you don't have to have those. You do not have to have, the rear spoiler as far as the Phase 2 or Phase 3, and then the bigger spoiler, or the bigger splitter on the front. So you can get all of everything kind of just as it comes, but add the carbon ceramic brakes, which I wish they would do that for the Z06. Hopefully that's going to be popular enough on the Grand Sport that enough people are going to demand it for the Z06. Another thing that they're doing, that they did do on the Stingrays, so again, if you're thinking about buying a Stingray, they're updated the inside as far as the different packages. You have the 1LZ, or the 1LT, the 2LT, and the 3LT. Now, when you get to the 2LT, it's the same all the way across, whether or not you're getting Z06, a Grand Sport, or Stingray. So basically, that's allowing Stingray owners to get this, kind of the, Stingray leather, or what's up here, to be the same color as the accent that you put in the car. I know they're also doing a lot of things with stitching. There was just so many different options when it came to the stitching that I couldn't remember them all. But one thing they are, another thing that they're upgrading on the PDR, the Performance Data Recorder that you're going to get, I believe it's standard on the 2LZ and 2LT packages. But for $1,700, it's definitely worth having if you see yourself out doing any tracking, or you just maybe want to get some footage of, maybe you're going to go on a cruise somewhere. You can put that on, and when you get out there, turn it on and get some really great footage of you driving without having to have a GoPro on the front like I do right now. But it gives you some cool overlays, and that's going to be something that they've added. They've added 4 more overlays to it, where you can watch the individual wheel speeds. You can also watch the suspension displacements, and you can watch the yaw rate, as well as the intake on the cold air system. So I think that's more for people that are going to be tracking, and you can, be able to have that data that's there on a lap and kind of see how the car is performing when it comes to that. So you've got basically a $10,000 difference between a Stingray to a Grand Sport, and then from a Grand Sport to a Z06, about a $14,500, close to $15,000 difference. So that's still a pretty broad range, and I think still very affordable for what you're getting. You can get a 1LT Z06 that basically has nothing in it, but you got all the performance that, someone out there with a 3LT. All the LTs are for me are for driver experience. If you like to have and you like to feel the Nappa leather or the Alcantara or the suede inserts, or you like to have the coloring as far as the different color on the inside and the stitching and all those types of things, then that's where you're going to spend some money. But if you want to get a car and mod it out yourself, do some different things with it, that's where, you know, really for a Stingray, $55,000, that's not bad. For the amount of performance that you're getting in a Stingray, what you're going to get in a Grand Sport as well as a Z06, it's still a great value for what it is. It's still a car that the normal Joe out there that works 9 to 5 and has been busting his butt and saving money can obtain one of these cars in life. And, you know, they're just a lot of fun to drive. I always tell people all the time that, you know, driving a Corvette or owning a Corvette isn't just about, you know, the car, but it's an experience. You know, when you drive this car, it is different from all the other cars on the road in the United States. Now, that doesn't mean that when people don't see a McLaren or people don't see a Ferrari or people don't see, you know, some type of, you know, 911 Porsche or something like that, that they don't look at it. But every time someone sees a Corvette, they take notice of it. And, you know, that's something because they're rare. I mean, you just saw they only made 29,749 Corvettes so far for the 2017 year. And so that puts them, you know, out there, but not real, you know, they're not everywhere. You know, people see Mustangs all the time. You know, people see, you know, Dodge Chargers all the time. They don't know if it's a Hellcat or if it's a, you know, just a regular SRT or just, you know, whatever it may be. But when people see a Corvette, a lot of times they just recognize Corvette. They don't, you know, unless you're a Corvette guy or a car guy, you're not looking for the GS on the side or, you know, the Z06 on the side. Now, of course, the Z06 and the Grand Sport does have a wider stance to it by 55 millimeters, so that is quite a bit wider, and it does have a more aggressive stance. I think that's why the Grand Sport has been so popular this year. You know, from people who have maybe in the past just gone with a Stingray and, you know, didn't want to quite get up to the level of a Z06, whether that's because they didn't want the power or maybe they just didn't want to spend that kind of money on a car that, you know, for most people isn't a daily driver. It's something that, you know, they go out and they cruise around with every now and then they have other cars that they drive. Is this car, is it able, if you're thinking about buying a Corvette, could it be a daily driver? You bet. You know, this car, you know, you can get it with the magnetic ride control, which is going to come in your Z06s and your Grand Sports is an optional system if you go with the Stingray. But definitely it's worth the money. You can get in touring mode, and this thing literally drives like a Cadillac, depending on what your roads are like. You know, in Oklahoma, we don't have the best roads. So to answer your question, if you're stopping in and you've seen my video and you clicked on it and you watched it and you've gotten this far, and you've been thinking about buying a Corvette and you're saying to yourself, is 2018 the year I want to buy one? I say yes. Because yes, you've got the whole thing of the ZR1, you've got the C8, all that stuff coming down the road. But, you know, quite honestly, guys, you know, like they said in, the chief engineer said, you know, they're probably, well, not, as of right now, they have no plans for a 10-speed like they have in a Camaro in the ZL1 or the ZL1 1LE, I think is what it's called, just because of the mass of that transmission, how big it is, the weight, all those types of things. They don't see themselves ever putting that into a Corvette. And I really don't think the Corvette needs that. I don't think it needs 10 speeds. 8 is plenty, 7 is great if you're, you know, doing everything manual. You know, people ask me all the time, you know, Chuck, what is it about Corvette, since you've bought a Corvette Z06, what is it that you enjoy about it the most? And I would definitely have to say this. You know, I purchased my Corvette in February 2016. March, the first Tuesday of March, I was in a meeting, a Corvette meeting, because, you know, the first thing I wanted to do was get plugged in with a group of people who had the same, you know, excitement and passion about the car that I had just purchased. And I would say this, you know, wherever you're at, there's got to be a Corvette club where you can get plugged in. Even if you have to drive an hour to get there, or, you know, something of that nature, and go on cruises and enjoy the fellowship with other Vette owners, it's a total experience that I think you have to have if you have a Corvette. But there's nothing like, you guys have seen in my videos, getting together with 25, 35, 45 Corvettes and just cruising somewhere. And it's just an experience. It's hard to explain unless you've done it, and you roll through the little towns and everybody is stopping on the side of the road and everybody's getting their cameras and their cell phones and they're filming you as they come by, and you see people and they're waving at you. And we've actually had other Corvettes that were driving by. I guess it was a couple of events ago. We were all in a pack and we were driving, and there was a Corvette that came this way, and that Corvette turned around and got in line with us and followed us all the way where we were going and had lunch with us, because that's the type of community that the Corvette community is. We don't sweat the little things. People have been blessed. They're laid back, they're helpful, they'll give you the shirt off their back if you need it. And that's the kind of people that you're going to find in a vet club. Guys, make sure that if you're new to the channel, which a lot of you are, and I keep saying this every week because there's a lot of you that keep coming in, I want to remind you, whatever kind of car you got, if you want to share it with the community, my email is down in the description. Email me a couple of pictures of your car. I've had some people email me small video clips of maybe that when they pick the car up, whether it's a Corvette or a Mustang or, whatever it is. I love cars in general. There's several guys who are members of the Corvettes 918 family that are, they're Mopar guys. I mean, I just bought a Jeep. So I'm not really a hater on any of them. Do I prefer my Z06? Do I prefer Corvettes? Yes. Am I excited about Corvettes? Yes. But I love sharing you guys' your rides. So whatever it is you have, send it in and we'll share it on the end of a video. Well, guys, that's this week's video. I hope you enjoyed it. I want to say a big thank you to all of you that have been able to stop in during the live streams that I've done the last couple of Tuesdays. And many of you have been able to stop in maybe, later on. Maybe you're at work, maybe you're asleep, whatever might be going on when I'm doing those. But I think it's been a great experience for me to actually interact with you guys live. So I hope you enjoy them. I plan on doing more of them in the future, especially maybe at the car shows that we do. Maybe walk around, show you guys some of the different cars that are there. And again, field your questions, whatever questions you may have. And again, I'm new to this, so hopefully I'll get better at it as time goes on. But this week, guys, I want to just kind of leave you with a real quick word of encouragement. Nelson Mandela once said this. He says, things seem impossible until they're done. In our lives, it's 10% what happens to us and 90% how we react to it. So many times we face challenges. If you're human, you're going to face challenges, whether it's the loss of a job, whether it's a loss of a loved one, maybe it's a physical ailment that you're having to deal with. We've all got challenges. And, what I want to encourage you in is sometimes when, a challenge arises in our life, sometimes it can be so forceful that, you feel like you've been punched in the face and you can't see anything. But you may be in that area or maybe experiencing something like that right now. But I just want to encourage you and let you know it's how you react to that situation that's ultimately going to determine, how it ends. And, I see people all the time that are, they're struggling in life. And, sometimes they're always asking themselves, why am I struggling? How do I turn the ship? How do I, Chuck, I've been watching your videos and, you have a Z06 and that's a, a $95,000 car. How am I ever going to have something like that? Again, it's how you react to that. It's what you do. It's the seeds you plant today that's going to cause you to reap those harvests in the future. So, always be a person that is always depositing something into others and not always taking. Because when you find yourself always being someone who's giving, my friend, I want to tell you what, it's just a matter of time before you start receiving. And guys, again, I hope you have a blessed week. I always enjoy bringing you footage of these Corvettes and just spending a little bit of time with you each and every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Guys, until I see you next Saturday, I hope you have a blessed week.
was too young, and I didn't understand that you